series that we've been doing on and off throughout this portion of the year has been a series called Run This Town, where we talk to people who are in different forms of activism and find out from them what has made them decide to lean into being a candidate of some sort. So today with us, we have a candidate for the Tennessee State Senate, Charlane Oliver, who is also one of the co-founders of the Equity Alliance. But today we're going to be talking a bit about politics with her from the perspective of the candidate. Charlane, how you doing?
I am doing well, man. It's good to be back on here.
All right. Yeah, we're glad to have you. We are glad to have you. Yes. All right. So it's an interesting time to be a candidate in any capacity. Obviously, after what happened yesterday, depending upon check local listeners, wherever you're listening from. But the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
Yep.
And I know that that's something that's going to come up for you as a candidate, even as a state senator. What is it from the local and state perspective do you think can be done for people who are going to have an issue with this? What's the angle that we have to think of from the state and local level?
Sure. So thanks for having me on. So I'm a young Black woman. I'm a mother of three, and I'm also a sexual assault survivor. And, the Roe v. Wade overturning of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court really touched me deeply. It has impacted my life personally. And, I had to relive that trauma all over again yesterday when I got the news. But I went immediately into action, and I called all the women that are on the ballot together to organize a press conference. And so what I think needs to happen is we just got to mobilize. We got to take action against what is happening. The forces on the right are organized, and they are uncompromising in their quest for power. And we have to be as vigilant as that as well to match that power. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm running for state senate. We have to make sure that we are doing one step further than what we think is comfortable for us. We got to get out of our comfort zone. Voting is just the baseline. And right now we got to run for office. What I see happening in Tennessee, we're in a Republican state legislature. And if the people that we don't agree with are in power, then we got to do everything in our power to get them out of those seats. And so that's one thing that we can do is don't think you're not good enough to run for office. I'm an everyday person, and I believe that we need more of us who are impacted by these issues to be running and speaking to the issues as policymakers. So that's one thing. Two, we got to continue to be vigilant. Again, it's not enough to just vote, but we got to be showing up to these state legislatures. They need to know and hear from us. So those are just a few things. And there is legislation in Tennessee and in Nashville that is going to be proposed. And we're calling on folks in power, like our district attorney, our policemen, our elected officials, to not enforce any laws that will criminalize people who are seeking to have an abortion or medical professionals that are helping folks to have an abortion.
So I just want to take a step back for our listeners and kind of clarify, what are the duties of a state attorney? What is your role?
State Senate.
I'm sorry. What are some of the duties of the state Senate?
Yeah, so the state Senate is different from the Tennessee House of Representatives. There's two chambers at the state level, and there are 33 senators across the state. And Nashville, I believe, has 4 state senators. And I am in District 19, which is the majority minority district for Davidson County. There's about 60% Black and African American voters in my district. And so the state Senate makes all the laws for the state of Tennessee. So anything that I pass, any legislation that I vote on, will impact the millions of Tennesseans that are across the state.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. This is real.
That's a good question. I had no idea because I'm saying so what do y'all do? Y'all just show up. Okay, so something I always want to know, especially whenever we have guests on who are running for office, in whatever office it is, how do you combat dealing with the old response of, well, they're gonna do what they want to do anyway, why should I even get out here and vote? Because it's always funny when you hear that, and then people are always up in arms, but they'll always say, well, my vote doesn't count anyway. Like, how do you combat that? I always like asking people that, because everybody has their spin on it, but I always want to know how you react to that.
Well, one, I always say that is a Republican talking point, and it's a defeatist mindset. You know, this system was never designed for us to ever be able to participate. And so we have to fight back. We have to challenge that narrative that our vote doesn't matter, when in fact, the Republicans are doing everything in their power to make sure our vote doesn't count. So if it didn't matter so much, why would they be working so hard to criminalize voter registration, to criminalize running over protesters, to make sure we have to have voter ID, to stop absentee ballot access, making sure that we can't give out water at the polls? They are doing everything to make sure Black people don't get to vote. Look what happened on January 5th, 2021 in Georgia. Black people, I'm not talking about other minorities, Black people came to the polls during a pandemic and made sure that we elected a Democratic president and 2 senators from Georgia. And then what happened on the next day? They lost their minds. So you have to look at what happens. Anytime Black people exert our self-agency and our self-determination, there is always going to be a white backlash. And so January 6th, they lost their freaking minds and went up there to the Capitol and started climbing up the walls, talking about hang Mike Pence and we will not be taken back. Like, no, like we got to look at how our power matters as well. And it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. So what I like to say is the reason why you feel like your vote don't matter is because you're not participating. We're, as the Equity Alliance, the work that I have been doing, boots on the ground in the community, is trying to break the perpetual cycle of politics. Right now, these politicians get to come to our churches. They think that's the only place we go in the community is the church. And so they're going to come on Sunday, wave their hand, and we never see them again. And then what happens is they only are talking to the people who vote. And then the people who vote get listened to when they get in office. So it creates this perpetual cycle. So if you're not voting, then you're not in the voter file system for us to know that we need to go knock on your door. And so if your door doesn't ever get knocked, that means you're not participating. Democracy is a participatory sport. In order for it to work, we have to actively do the things that require it to run. So voting, we got to look at also going back to how we became citizens as Black people. Like, we used to be 3/5 of a human. Our whole existence has been politicized. From the hair on my head, they just passed the Crown Act in Tennessee to not discriminate against us because we have locks. Okay, to the toes on my feet, the paint, the nail polish, okay, is regulated. Everything about us, there is a policy attached to it. And that policy is passed by a policymaker. And every policymaker is elected by the people. And so we got to start educating ourselves on how the process works, how the game works. Because if we're not participating, then like they say, we're on the menu. We can't have it happen.
Yeah. We have with us, once again, Charlane Oliver, one of the co-founders of the Equity Alliance and also a candidate for Tennessee State Senate. Okay, so wearing the hat of being someone who's been part of what has been a really important activist group over the last few years with Equity Alliance, you obviously have a different perspective as seeing what the things that needs to be done as someone who's been an activist and advocate yourself. What is it? I know that voting is definitely one of the big answers. What else is it that the average person who wants to put their boots on the ground needs to be doing right now?
To get involved in politics?
To get involved, to do things that can make some kind of substantive difference. Because like I think a lot of times some people believe, I think people recognize sometimes that voting may be the thing to do, but I think sometimes people feel like they're making a difference when they can do some other things that are more hands-on. What are some of the things that to you that you think matters? I know it can be any number of things, but yeah.
A couple of years ago, I wrote this whole list of it was like 45 ways that you could be civically engaged. Okay. And so, like I said, democracy is a participatory sport. We built this country. And so we have to be participating. And there are things that we can do beyond voting. Like I said, voting is the floor, and we got to make sure we're also holding people accountable and doing all the things that keeps us involved. So one, be informed. One, there's easy things you can do, like making sure you subscribe to credible news sources on your phone to keep up with what's going on day to day. Get a Twitter account, follow some reporters. That's an easy way to follow what's going on. Join the Equity Alliance, join some groups. You may not be able to lead, but there are some groups that are leading, and all you got to do is get plugged in. Making sure that you be a poll watcher, go work a poll. Work on a campaign. There are candidates out here that need support, like myself. There are things that you can do to volunteer. Go knock on the door. Go help make some phone calls. We'll write some postcards to some supporters. These are all things that require minimal effort but make a really huge impact. So volunteer on a campaign, host a poll party, host a party for your favorite candidate, raise some money. And a lot of times we don't think about the organized money piece. We have a lot of organized power, but we got to have organized money. And so using your dollars to influence elections is what the white folks do. So donate to your candidate, set up a PAC, make sure that you're, again, influence elections with your own dollars is another way that you can do it. Everyone can't do everything, but we can all do something.
This is the Scenario Radio Show. Real talk with a playlist.